Selecting an insurance provider for your business is a big decision.
We know how important your company is to the community.
Alford & Associates can manage your insurance. It's our job.
Alford & Associates, benefiting your employees and protecting your business.
Welcome to Louisiana and Beyond. Today we take a closer look at one of the most ambitious flood protection systems in our country, the Morganza to the Gulf Hurricane Protection System.
And from levees and floodgates to the massive engineering behind them, this system is designed to protect thousands of homes, businesses, and families across coastal South Louisiana.
We'll hear from the leaders and engineers who helped make it happen, the people who pushed the project forward when others said it couldn't be done.
And they'll share how the system was built, why it matters, and what still lies ahead in the effort to protect our communities.
All of this and more on this episode of Louisiana and Beyond.
Louisiana and Beyond is brought to you in part by Edison Schwest Offshore, Bollinger Shipyards, Crosby Tugs LLC, Grand Isle Shipyard, Nicholls State University, and Sea Level Construction.
At GIS, putting people first has always been our thing. As we always say, our people are our most important assets. With over 20 office locations, we deliver innovative solutions across 4 key markets: energy, industrial, infrastructure, and power. Our 4 main service groups house over 20 service capabilities, supporting projects from start to finish. We're proud of our legacy and even more excited about what's ahead.
When it comes to marine towing, Crosby Tugs has over 40 years of experience. We have the know-how to safely assist ships into and out of their berths, escort oil tankers quickly and safely, tow ships, respond to fuel spills, and work in extreme conditions. Founded in 1977 by Vinton and Kurt Crosby, we are one of the largest privately owned marine transportation businesses in the industry. If it's on the water, let Crosby be your transporter.
In a world where you can choose to be anything, who do you choose to be? At Nicholls State University, with over 70 distinct degree programs, we believe our students can be anything. Be an artist, a chef, a journalist, an educator, a lifesaver. But no matter what you choose to be a colonel. Be more at Nicholls State University.
Edison Schwest Offshore is more than a fleet. We're an interconnected network of vessels, logistics hubs, and a fast-growing workforce of over 19,000 dedicated professionals across the globe. From the United States to Brazil and the Middle East to Southeast Asia, Schwest provides cutting-edge solutions to a worldwide community. And in the face of evolving demands across the industry, we are committed to operating as the best in the world.
Welcome to Bollinger Shipyards. For nearly a century, our family of skilled shipbuilders has driven innovation and excellence, creating some of the world's most advanced vessels. Today, we are at the forefront of our industry and redefining the future of naval warfare. At Bollinger, we turn challenges into opportunities and careers into legacies. Here, you're part of something bigger. Any yard can build a ship. We don't just build ships. Together, we're building the future.
Next, we take a closer look at Morganza to the Gulf, the massive levee system built to protect Terrebonne and Lafourche parishes.
From its early planning to the progress being made today, leaders explain how this nearly 100-mile system came together.
Tony and together with the board, we started Morganza to the Gulf, which is a 78-mile levee system in Terrebonne Parish. It goes into Lafourche. It's about a 90-mile levee system. And right now the levee, of course, we went from nothing to almost a -3 in the marshes to a plus 12.5, and now they have 52 miles of it at a plus 15, either raised to 15 or that's under construction. When Ida hit, it hit Fouchon direct, and of course it threw a 16-foot wall of water on South Lafourche levee, which luckily they were at 18 feet. They did a wonderful job in South Lafourche. And then Tony, Alford, myself, and others saw immediately we needed to, go with higher levees. So immediately we started lifting the levees to 15 feet.
I knew we had to do something. I didn't realize, how far we would get. We were gonna die trying, right? Today you go up to D.C., the 3 top projects in the country, one of them's Morganza, in the whole country. And, it was tough to begin with, but a few of the ideas were, well, let's just go dredge and throw dirt up there. Well, we had tax dollars involved.
So, it was kind of embarrassing to be collecting ad valorem taxes from taxpayers and having people flood time and time again, So we had a pot of money in the bank. We were, like you said, waiting on permits for some things, and we were working with the Corps through our delivery team meetings and all these things to get Morganza, built and constructed. And you can't build it all at once. You have to build it in sections, which we call reaches. So Reach J, segment 1, was the first segment, right? J1. So we built that one first, and we built it in 2006, and that was right after Katrina in New Orleans.
It's nearly 100 miles of levees that connect Gibson to Lockport. So basically you're connecting St. Mary, Terrebonne to St. Mary on one end and Lafourche on the other end. That alignment has changed some over time. It's been added to it over time since when I began. And we have about 25 floodgates and 1 lock complex in that. And so that's basically it. It's a system of levees and floodgates to provide protection to Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish.
The Corps of Engineers, remember, at one point wanted to put the levee on the intercoastal, and just kind of almost writing off the east side of town for the most part, and everything comes with that. If you got 5 bayous there, you got different ideologies and different thinking on those bayous, right? You got different people on each bayou. In Lafourche, like you said, everybody was sort of, from the same mix, and it was easier to sell things, I found, over the years. To get everybody to agree in Terrebonne was an act of Congress, literally, right? and so that was always, there were anti-levies, just let it come in and go out. And there was a lot of different ideas on what should happen or not happen, And so you had to pull all that together and just decide, we're going to do this. You're under a lot of scrutiny, but at the same time, you knew you had to do something to save this parish. And we've had a lot of great things happen. We're taking that now to a state level, and we've got some unreal things going on at a state level. We always talked about, we're going to build Morganza. Okay, that's our line in the sand, right? But also what we have to do with that, we have to have marsh restoration of sort, and we have to save the barrier islands in the process.
For far too often we feel like, we've been reactive in a lot of cases in our coastal protection and those type of things. And we've been able to come up with billions of dollars after the fact, right? Here, working with the state, the federal government, CPRA, we're pushing a lot more proactivity into it, where we can do this stuff like you mentioned now versus, 30 more years down the road after we've had another 10 or 12 storms.
Once they decided that this was going to be a building program, and we were no longer going to wait for the federal government to come in and build Morganza, which was probably one of the wisest decisions ever made in Terrebonne Parish. And I credit that to the board at the levee district and Tony and Gordy for really propping that and moving that forward. But once it became a building program, they knew they needed an engineer in place. And so around late 2008 is when I started to assume the role that, you know, would be responsible for the design and construction of what they wanted to do, which was an interim system at that point. They wanted to get something to 10 feet all the way across the parish. So I was at T. Baker Smith. I was called into the office and said, "You've been nominated, this is your gig." And so, that's when I started. I had worked for years on separate parts of Morganza. We had done J1, and we had done a lot of, like borrow pit acquisition and things like that, and helped with the study of Morganza. But it was in late 2008 that I started as program manager.
Morganza to the Gulf is a massive effort. Nearly 100 miles of levees and floodgates protecting communities across the region.
When we continue, Ben Bordelon of Bollinger Shipyard explains how they navigated some of their biggest challenges.
Edison Schwest Offshore is more than a fleet. We're an interconnected network of vessels, logistics hubs, and a fast-growing workforce of over 19,000 dedicated professionals across the globe. From the United States to Brazil and the Middle East to Southeast Asia, Schwest provides cutting-edge solutions to a worldwide community. And in the face of evolving demands across the industry, we are committed to operating as the best in the world.
At GIS, putting people first has always been our thing. As we always say, our people are our most important assets. With over 20 office locations, we deliver innovative solutions across 4 key markets: energy, industrial, infrastructure, and power. Our 4 main service groups house over 20 service capabilities, supporting projects from start to finish. We're proud of our legacy and even more excited about what's ahead.
When it comes to marine towing, Crosby Tugs has over 40 years of experience. We have the know-how to safely assist ships into and out of their berths, escort oil tankers quickly and safely, tow ships, respond to fuel spills, and work in extreme conditions. Founded in 1977 by Vinton and Kurt Crosby, we are one of the largest privately owned marine transportation businesses in the industry. If it's on the water, let Crosby be your transporter.
Sea Level Construction is a heavy civil contractor that provides turnkey services for the industrial and marine industries. From building large-scale infrastructure to installing the foundation for expansion projects, Sea Level and its family of companies offer a wide range of capabilities including driven piles, drilled deep foundations, structural fabrication, structural concrete, marine construction, barge maintenance and repair, site work development, heavy equipment repair services, and electrical services. Call Sea Level Construction to set the foundations for your next big project.
Welcome to Bollinger Shipyards. For nearly a century, our family of skilled shipbuilders has driven innovation and excellence, creating some of the world's most advanced vessels. Today, we are at the forefront of our industry and redefining the future of naval warfare. At Bollinger, we turn challenges into opportunities and careers into legacies. Here, you're part of something bigger. Any yard can build a ship. We don't just build ships. Together, we're building the future.
Next, we're diving into the roots of Bollinger Shipyards.
Ben Bordelon joins us to share how his grandfather started from the ground up and how that work ethic still drives the shipyard today.
You know, I go back to my grandfather. My grandfather wasn't a college-educated man. He graduated high school, was a machinist by trade. You know, he worked on the machines and ran lathes and drill presses, etc. Was working for a shipyard. Not an owner, was working there, and Mr. Barker ended up passing away and left my grandfather a little bit of money back in the early 40s, and he didn't squander it. He invested in himself. That's when he bought, some land on the banks of Bayou Lafourche, where our office is now. They had a World War II auction going on, post-World War II auction going on in New Orleans, and he bought a lathe and a drill press, and that's how the business got started. And that culture and work ethic is still in us today. There's a whole bunch of sayings my grandpa, used to talk about, and sometimes he'd put his big arm around me. He was a big man too. He's 6'4" and wore a big hat and did stuff, but he'd put his arm around me and he'd say, "Hey Ben, if you have any problems, solve them." And a statement, like that in today's time, I think is important. I try to tell my kids that. Don't always be looking for somebody to solve your problems. Sometimes you gotta figure out a way to do it. Get creative and do it on your own. And that's something that takes work ethic and, takes a lot of, responsibility and risk that I think is kind of inbred in us down here. So yeah, work ethic is a big part of our family culture, but for that matter, I think the Cajun culture too is a big part, and that's why we have a lot of success. And I think at the end of the day, if you're confident in the business that you're running and in the people that you're supporting, it's pretty easy not to be intimidated by something. I respect the positions of all of those people, like I mentioned, but at the same time, they put on their pants the same as we do every day. I'm confident in what we're doing, down here, that the importance of what we're doing. And I'm sure we'll talk about some of the government programs, but it's a responsibility that we have as a business, to build and repair and do all of these great things. And I think it's awesome to show it off. So when we have the opportunity to brag a little bit about, what our family of, employees is doing down here, I think it's easy because we're proud type people. I think at the same token, we're all very humble down here. It's not like we're braggadocious in that degree, but we are proud of what we do, and to get a chance to show them some Cajun ingenuity is exciting. And on the political side, I was always a little skeptical on that, why we got to do this stuff. And I remember my grandpa teaching us that lesson early, is that, if we're not talking to the person and being in their ear and being a voice of reason, then somebody else will be. So why not us? And I think that bodes well for the success that we've had politically. At first, I thought it was kind of all for the fun of it. You go to Washington Mardi Gras, you're doing conventions and all of these different things. But at the end of the day, getting the message out about what we're doing down here in South Louisiana, it's important for us to be doing that, not just at a state level, but at a national level as well.
From hard work on the shop floor to showing off Cajun ingenuity, Ben's story goes beyond the shipyard.
We'll see how that same spirit helped them get a national message out, turning challenges into opportunities for South Louisiana.
The point in time of the early 80s, oil and gas was terrible. And we were down to well under 50 employees at that time at the shipyard. The family hadn't taken, payroll in years. And it was some scary times. I mean, this whole region was taking a beating back in the 80s with the oil and gas market. And I'll tell a little story about Boise. He wanted to bid on that government contract. And he went to my grandpa and talked about it. My grandpa said, "No way we're bidding on that contract. We're not going to work for the federal government. It's going to make us fat and inefficient and lazy and have too much overhead." And part of that was right. Working for the government is different, but Boise ended up going behind my grandpa's back and bid on it. We lost the bid, and Boise protested it. We didn't have any money back then either, so we had to hire these Washington attorneys to represent us, and we won the protest. And that was the catalyst for us getting into the government contracting.
Hello everyone from Bollinger Shipyard here in Lockport, Louisiana, where the Vice President of the United States, George Bush, just addressed a few hundred people concerning the Navy contracts.
And that was the beginning of something great for us as far as getting into the government contracting world. But yeah, with that, we had Vice President Bush come in, which was awesome. The Secretary of Transportation back then was Elizabeth Dole. She came in. It was pretty cool as a 9, 10-year-old kid that was getting to watch all these Coast Guard helicopters land in your backyard and have the vice president get out of the helicopter and come into our home. And as you mentioned, they had Navy SEALs swimming the bayou and looking in the cane fields and doing all of that. But it was a special time, not only for Bollinger and for our family, but as you mentioned, for our area. And it did offer a time of excitement, I think, in a time that was a little depressed back then. And it offered some optimism. And, you know, from a sales standpoint, it's always good to get your message out. But that was really a pivotal point in our company's time, for sure.
And that was just the beginning. Bollinger Shipyard stepping into government contracting and making waves across the country.
Stay with us. When we return, we'll continue the story behind the Morganza system.
Welcome to Bollinger Shipyards. For nearly a century, our family of skilled shipbuilders has driven innovation and excellence, creating some of the world's most advanced vessels. Today, we are at the forefront of our industry and redefining the future of naval warfare. At Bollinger, we turn challenges into opportunities and careers into legacies. Here, you're part of something bigger. Any yard can build a ship. We don't just build ships. Together, we're building the future.
Sea Level Construction is a heavy civil contractor that provides turnkey services for the industrial and marine industries. From building large-scale infrastructure to installing the foundation for expansion projects, Sea Level and its family of companies offer a wide range of capabilities including driven piles, drilled deep foundations, structural fabrication, structural concrete, marine construction, barge maintenance and repair, site work development, heavy equipment repair services, and electrical services. Call Sea Level Construction to set the foundations for your next big project.
At GIS, putting people first has always been our thing. As we always say, our people are our most important assets. With over 20 office locations, we deliver innovative solutions across 4 key markets: energy, industrial, infrastructure, and power. Our 4 main service groups house over 20 service capabilities, supporting projects from start to finish. We're proud of our legacy and even more excited about what's ahead.
Edison Schwest Offshore is more than a fleet. We're an interconnected network of vessels, logistics hubs, and a fast-growing workforce of over 19,000 dedicated professionals across the globe. From the United States to Brazil and the Middle East to Southeast Asia, Schwest provides cutting-edge solutions to a worldwide community. And in the face of evolving demands across the industry, we are committed to operating as the best in the world.
When it comes to marine towing, Crosby Tugs has over 40 years of experience. We have the know-how to safely assist ships into and out of their berths, escort oil tankers quickly and safely, tow ships, respond to fuel spills, and work in extreme conditions. Founded in 1977 by Vinton and Kurt Crosby, we are one of the largest privately owned marine transportation businesses in the industry. If it's on the water, let Crosby be your transporter.
Welcome back. Some levee sections in Terrebonne were barely 8 feet high, far from enough to stop big storm flooding.
And tonight we're diving into how the Morganza system of levees, locks, and floodgates protects homes from the next big storm.
I mean, we had this one little levee section built that was just to 8 feet. I mean, it was a football field wide. Looked great from space. Didn't do a whole lot for Terrebonne Parish, right? So we were just like, well, I mean, here we are. And then, you know, right after Rita hit New Orleans, we built this one little section and that wasn't enough. And then 3 years later, we had the Gustav and Ike era. You know, that was in 2008. And I mean, we were flooded again. We spent $2 million dewatering the parish. If you can even imagine how difficult it is to remove water, like to unwater a parish. So right where like the east side of Houma, right once you pass Consolidated Waterworks, from there south, water. flooded, could not drive your car. It was devastating. People were crying. They're in their yards just ripping out their house. It just wants to rip out your heart. You know what I mean? So at that point, we were like, enough's enough. We've got money in the bank a little bit. We had recently passed a sales tax. The voters passed a sales tax here in Terrebonne. It was a 1/4 cent sales tax that the parish collects for us. And we were gonna take that money and, this is my wheelhouse, right? It's creative financing. It's what I do, it's what I was hired to do. And we were like, we're gonna sell revenue bonds on this sales tax, and we're gonna go build the Bubba Dove floodgate. The first thing we did after that one levee reach was built. So we bonded it out. It was the largest bond issue in Terrebonne Parish at the time, $50 million, and we built this massive structure in the lock, in the HNC, the ship channel, which is now being converted to a lock. So this was major for us. And then after that, we were like, we're actually making a difference. So we passed another tax. In 2011, we passed another tax, and it was a 1/2 cent tax. And that, we again sold revenue bonds on that. It gave us $100 million. So we took that $100 million and we put it on the ground, segment by segment, reach by reach, lift by lift. And my board did not, Tony Alford is the one credited with most of this, and Gordy Dove, they did not stop until we had some level of protection on the ground, because without flood protection, nothing else matters.
We saw we had to get this thing up to 15 feet because we could get an eye to our west, and get what, and look, hats off to the South Lafourche levee. They were up to 18 feet, so they could take that wall of water, Now on a Homer navigation canal, with the way that floodgate was designed, we didn't put them because we would have the lock system where you could just open the lock system, which is 110 foot between the wing walls, 800 feet long, and you could just let the water flow out.
For a storm to come in that direction, it could have been the worst direction of our. So it proved that we've done something very positive and saved a bunch of damage in our areas. And I think that if we continue that process on just getting the heights we need, we won't come to such a close call as that was.
And so we made, compacted, solid levees with the right slopes and made sure that they're solid levees. And you've seen the impact of those levees and what they've done. We've built over 80 miles. We've got over 13 floodgates in place right now. And, we had a nice team to be able to design, O'Neill, and he was able to come in and design those floodgates. Sector gates are the best gates. They're easy to operate, 5 times the cost of a barge gate. So we knew to enact safety and be able to close our system, we had to do something a little less than those sector gates. And so we came up with barge gates. Hard to operate, takes some time. It's a lot, but they work. And of course, we even put flap gates going through those barges should it rain a lot in the system to be able to spill out in the process while they're closed.
So I like to break it down in, I guess three different segments, right? Our southeastern facing alignment, which is really from Lafourche down around Cocodrie, and even up towards the HNC lock. We wanted to have that to 15 feet, okay? And so we got really aggressive about pushing that to 15 feet. We don't have all of it to 15 feet today. I would say on average, that thing's probably 13 and a half feet now, but a good portion of it is to 15 feet. I think by next hurricane season, we'll have most of that to 15 feet. As we get on the wings, there's another intermediate level where we want it to 12 feet right now. And I'm talking about, that's our immediate goal. That's not the final goal. And then as you get further up, towards Lockport and then Gibson, it doesn't need to be as high. So maybe 10 feet. So on average, I would say we're probably around 12 feet. But that includes some that's below 10 feet and some that's 15 feet or higher. So our southern, we're in better shape on the southeastern facing part of Morganza than we ever have been, but we're not finished. This is a constant work. And look, that's not even close to what the final elevations that the Corps is going to achieve.
From levees to shipyards, it's all about protecting our communities and building the future.
We'll see you next time exploring the people, places, and innovations shaping Louisiana and beyond.
Louisiana and Beyond has been brought to you in part by Edison Schwest Offshore, Bollinger Shipyards, Crosby Tugs LLC, Grand Isle Shipyard, Nicholls State University, and Sea Level Construction.